What is up, guys? Archon tonight, I'm bringing you guys another video. In today's video, we're going to be finishing up 9.1 patch notes. This will be Covenant and other miscellaneous things like Mythic Plus dungeons, professions, all that stuff. So let's go ahead and get into it. Renown is being increased by 40 levels. Players who find themselves behind in Renown will now have an increased chance to receive Renown as a reward from all relevant activities. So Alt and that can still catch up rather quickly to get into Season 2. Soulbinds, new Soulbind tiers. All existing Soulbinds now have 4 new rows, 3 new conduit slots, 1 potency, 1 endurance, and 1 finesse, 2 new traits, and 1 capper trait. For those wondering what it looks like, it's going to look like this. So at 42, you'll get a potency one, and then you'll have finesse, and then you'll have endurance. You'll have a choice between 2 talents, and then you'll get a capper trait. As for the buffs and nerfs for each of the Covenants here, Pelagos Combat Meditation's Mastery reduced by 10%. Kalia's Pointed Courage chance to critically strike for every nearby enemy or ally increased to 2%, was 1, up to 6, was 5. Forge Light Prime Mechalikos, or however you pronounce it, the amount of spells and abilities required to summon Brawn with Brawn's Call to Action has been reduced to 75, and was 90 initially. Additionally, Brawn's damage and healing has been increased by 10%. Soul Steel Clamps now reduces duration of stun and incapacitate effects by 15%, was 30, so it's a bit of a nerf. Sparkling Drift Globe Core cooldown increased to 1 minute, was 45 seconds, and now triggers at 30% health, was 35. Necrolord, Plague Deviser Merilith. Volatile Solvent has been updated to always grant the player Volatile Solvent Humanoid when Fleshcraft is cast, granting the player 120 mastery. Ooze's Frictionless Coating absorb value reduced to 7.5% maximum health in PvP only. Plaguey's Preemptive Strike damage increased to 12, was 10%, and duration increased to 15, was 10 seconds. So overall buffs for Plague Deviser for Necrolord. Emini, Sulfuric Emission Fear duration reduced to 3.5, was 4.5, so you're losing a second. I personally didn't use Sulfuric Emission, I don't believe. Bonesmith Hiremere. Forgebone Reveries now applies Soul Exhaustion to the caster when it activates, preventing Forgebone Reveries from activating again while the debuff is active. So I assume this is to prevent people from spamming B-reses on a person and letting them, face tank die, B-res, face tank die, last 10 seconds B-res, This is definitely to fix that problem. Night Fae Naya. Naya's tools, Burst damage reduced by 8%, so a bit of a nerf. Dreamweaver, Field of Blossoms duration increased by 20%, and haste increased to 15. Was 12. Fixed an issue that allowed Empowered Chrysalis to apply its effect twice when the player overhealed themselves. Orion, Hold the Line physical damage reduction reduced to 12%, was 15%, and further reduced to 6% physical damage reduction in PvP combat. Venthyr, Nausea the Mistblade. Familiar Predicaments can now reduces incoming interrupt and snare and root effects by 15%, was 25. Theotar the Mad Duke. Soothing Shade's mastery increased by 5%. Fix an issue that costs Token of Appreciation's application to break stealth effects. General Draven. Enduring Gloom absorb value increased to 20% of maximum health, was 15, but reduced to 10% of maximum health in PvP combat. Hold Your Ground stamina bonus, reduced by 50% in PvP combat. Built for War now provides 1% of primary stat every 2 seconds, was 3 seconds, and now stacks up to 5, was 4, while you are above 80% health. Fixed an issue that allowed Service and Stone to not deal reduced damage in PvP. Conduits. Higher level conduits have been added to the world. Changing a covenant will now refill your available conduit energy. Sanctums. Adventures. New companions and adventures have been added. Hovering over a unit's abilities will show the targeted locations. Unit tooltips are now more detailed. Adventure level will now display on the adventure portrait. Unit cooldowns now decrease independently after each unit's turn rather than all together when the round changes. Venthyr, handcrafted mirror repair kits now stacked to 20, and the cost has been reduced to 10 infused ruby. New headwear options are available for your butler. Dungeons and raids. Mythic and Mythic Plus enemies auto attack damage reduced by 10%. The following changes go live with Season 2 on July 6th. Item levels of rewards from level 60 normal, heroic, and mythic dungeons have been increased by 26. Baseline rewards are now item level 184 from normal, 197 from heroic, and 210 from mythic. Mythic Plus dungeons rewards have had their maximum item level increased by 26 item levels, and some interim keystone level rewards have their item levels rewards adjusted. Great Vault rewards have been increased by 26. Heroic Dungeon enemy damage has been increased by 6% and enemy health increased by 16. Mythic Dungeons enemy damage and health has been increased by 26%. Mythic Plus Dungeons enemies damage has been increased by 35%, and enemy health increased by 39. So real quick, before we go any further, they nerfed the auto attack damage of mobs by 10% in both Mythic and Mythic Plus, while letting them deal more damage while spellcasting. I think this is because we're already geared up, obviously. This should offset, so it should feel pretty similar to Season 1 in terms of scaling is what I think they're going for here. If not, then this is just to prevent people who are doing the world first for Mythic the following week to not just be able to outgear everything right away and just, bang out 15s and have fully 15 gear or whatever before world first starts the following week. New dungeon teleports into Heroes Path Shadowlands. Completing each Mythic Plus dungeon at level 20 on time will now grant an achievement and a teleport to the completed dungeon's entrance. The teleport has an 8-hour cooldown that resets after completing a Mythic Plus dungeon. I wonder if you fail it, then you have an 8-hour cooldown, but if you complete it, then you get the cooldown reduced to 0? Back up to whatever? Huh. Task Shoops in the Hall of Holding and Orbals will now offer a keystone to players who don't have a keystone, as long as they've completed at least one Shadowlands dungeon on Mythic Plus difficulty. Task Shop now spawns at the end of Mythic Plus dungeons that are completed before the time limit is reached. It will offer a one-time keystone exchange to any player whose current keystone is at or below the level of the dungeon that was recently completed on time. Keystones that are a higher level than the dungeon that was recently completed on time cannot be traded, including the keystone that was used to start the run. Spawns at the end. I'm trying to read this one more time so I can actually get a grasp here. Now spawns at the end of Mythic Plus dungeons that are completed before the time limit is reached. It will offer a one-time keystone exchange to any player whose current keystone is at or below the level of the dungeon. Wow, so you can't even use it on the keystone that you used the run on. I guess this is if anybody on your group has a 15 and they don't want to run, let's say, Sanguine Depths, so one person in your party can trade it out for something different. It's okay. I guess it's nice to not have to be forced to run the same dungeons if everybody has the same keystone level. Or below, I guess. Mythic Plus affixes. The weekly affix rotation has been updated. Bolster now increases maximum health by 15%, was 20%, and damage done by 20% per stack. So it's just -5 off the health pool, which I think does help out a lot. If you're doing bolstering correctly, this should never really be a problem to begin with. Necrotic. Level 61 enemies now apply necrotic wound on every other auto attack was every auto attack. So this is a nerf to boss encounters. Enrage now increases damage done by 75%, was 100%. So less damage going out. Storming, I'm assuming it's to compensate for the increase on the Mythic Plus and Mythic damage going out. Or rather, the Mythic 33% increase. Storming Whirlwinds now always move in the same direction and its movement speed reduced by 30%. Storming Whirlwinds now dissipates once a target is hit. So Storming was rather annoying to deal with if you were melee. This is actually a really good change for melee. The other side, Hakar. Let's get into dungeon changes here. Hakar's cooldowns and energy regeneration is now paused when Blood Barrier is applied and will resume once the barrier is removed. Blood Barrier no longer grants Hakar immunity to interrupts. Wait, you could interrupt Hakar? I don't remember being able to interrupt Hakar. Blood Barrier is no longer interruptible and no longer has a duration. Blood Barrage is no longer interruptible and no longer has a duration. It now persists until Blood Barrier is destroyed. Weird, because I don't remember ever being able to interrupt this, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention, which is crazy because I've run this dungeon a million times, it feels like already. So basically, Hakar is no longer allowed to charge Blood Barrier while Blood Barrier is active, and that is very big. Because what would happen is if your team, let's say, had somebody die during the fight, and you were on like a 15 or something, it became borderline impossible to do the fight because what would happen is Hakar would Blood Barrier, hit everything, and all of the kids or whatever, and get a massive shield. And then the moment you break the barrier, Hakar would immediately start casting Blood Barrier again and, have another big shield again, and then it just kind of looped itself until you ran out of steam and died. So I think that's a good change. Dealer Exaye. I don't know how to pronounce it. Arcane Lightning periodic damage reduced by 15% and jump damage reduced by 20%. That is massive. Arcane Vulnerability now only increases damage taken from Arcane Lightning. Big nerf to Dealer for sure. That is one of the more problematic things of a fight, especially if you're an all melee group, because you have to coordinate everybody to where the jump hits everybody at least once, or hits 3 players and then jumps back and forth or whatever. Because if you end up with bouncing between 2 players more times than not, you just blow up and die. And there's not much you can do about it, so good nerf. Halls of Atonement, Loyal Stoneborn melee and Stone Breath damage reduced by 10%. Shard of Helkias Thrash damage reduced by 20% and Rage increased to 60 was 40. Deprived Obliterators Wicked Bolt damage increased by 27%, so we're going to be wanting to look out for Wicked Bolts now. Mist of Tyrannosaith. Ingram Moloch. Ingram Moloch's health reduced by 10%. Ramen Ulfarin's health reduced by 5%. Big nerfs for the first bosses of Tyrannosaith. It should make them a lot more easier to complete, especially on Tyrannical. Druss Bowbreaker health increased by 15%. Mistvale Guardian's Bucking Rampage now triggers its cooldown on spell start. That is actually very, very nice. So how it works now in live is if you hit him with a hard stun while he's casting it, it'll actually start casting again the moment that he comes out of the stun. So what you have to do currently on live is you have to wait till he casts it, kicks once or whatever, starts the animation, and then you immediately interrupt it. Or immediately stun him. Spine Maw Staghorn health increased by 30%. Yeah. The Necrotic Wake Amaranth health reduced by 15%. Tortured Echoes damage reduced by 15% per stack. So I think this is to offset the damage the boss deals to himself, because he also hits himself with Tortured Echoes while also reducing the damage he does to the party. Nailthor the Rhymebender. Zolaramus Siphoner's health reduced by 15%. Champion's Boon duration increased to 40% was 30%. I'm trying to think of who the Rhymebender is off the top of my head. That's got to be the last boss. That's the last boss. I'm guessing the Siphoner down below you, he's a lot easier to kill. I don't remember Champion's Boon. Huh. I don't remember. Anyway. Plaguefall, Glabrog, health reduced by 10%. Actually, that's massive. That's the first boss in Plaguefall. That is huge for Tyrannical weeks. He is such a pain to take down. Rigged Plague Borers that spawned during the Gauntlet event now have limited spawns. Rigged Plague Borers located outside of the Gauntlet event have been replaced with Wretched Plague Borers. So the Gauntlet event they're talking about is after the first boss. If you're doing normal or a Mythic run, you'll just kill the Plague Rock and then you'll drop down and then you'll have to fight the Tentacles or whatever. It's the guys running back and forth right before the little sub-boss there, where the Tentacles are. So I think what teams were doing is they were actually kiting those little ads all the way down and they kept spawning infinitely, and then you'd clear out Icus's chamber, and then what you could do is you could actually use them on Icus in order to blow up Icus and deal a crap ton of damage. And this would just keep happening until you killed the sub-boss. So that was something that I kind of played with a little bit in Season 1. I couldn't quite get it down because it required a lot of coordination from your team. Sanguine Depths, Chyrixus the Voracious. Juggernaut Rush damage reduced by 15%. Essence Absorption damage reduced by 15%. Nice nerfs rather. Executor Tarvold, Fleeting Manifestation Growing Pride damage reduced by 20%, so another big nerf to Sanguine Depths. They've nerfed this boss a couple times in the past. I think they nerfed him in 9.0.5 where they reduced his health, they reduced the damage that he does with his ability, and now they're actually hitting the main problem, which was actually the Fleeting Manifestations damage. It just gets out of control way too quickly, especially on Tyrannical. Chamber Sentinel Severing Slice now only strikes the primary target, so it no longer has the cleave anymore. Remnant of Fury's Explosive Anger damage reduced by 25%, so I wonder if that means you can just leave it on the target and they get a big damage buff and then they take a little bit of damage. Vestige of Doubt no longer casts Growing Mistrust. Holy crap, that's crazy. So for those who don't know what Growing Mistrust is, it's the little pools on the ground that expand outwards, or the big pools on the ground that expand as you're working your way to Executor Tarvold. That is insane. Research scribes explosive volume now detonates after 3.5 seconds. Was 3. I'm wondering if that's going to give you enough time to get out of the chain prison that the warden casts if it goes off, because they have a tendency to target chain prison. Spires of Ascension, Ventunax. When the channel for recharge completes, any active Shadow Whirls will now despawn. Wow, that's also a big nerf to that boss. So that means instead of filling the room up with little swirlies that shoot the orbs everywhere when he starts recharging, you'll only have to deal with three swirlies on the ground, if I'm understanding this correctly. So positioning of the boss doesn't matter anymore. You can put him wherever you want, drop the orbs wherever you want. Theater of Pain, Affront of Challengers. Zyra the Underhanded has returned on Mythic difficulties only. So they put the rogue back in that runs around and CCs people occasionally, but it's only on Mythic. Stab the Unfallen, Oppressive Banner health reduced by 20%. So, wow, they have straight nerfed a lot of these bosses. The health one you can't really say too much about because they're getting a 39% health increase, and some of these are to offset that 39%. I do think that scaling is going to be a little bit buggy with that. So even though he's losing 39% health, he's actually gaining 29% to offset. The ones that affect abilities, though, those are massive. Like this one right here, this is massive. This makes Spires of Ascension second boss way easier. What else? This makes doing, I can't really say a number boss because you put it in any order, but this makes doing Dealer a crap ton easier. This makes a car a crap ton easier. You're not constantly fighting off barriers. So yeah. Oh, let's look at items and rewards. Shards of Domination. Empower your gear with Shards of Domination, a new type of powerful gem looted from the bosses lurking within Sanctum of Domination. These remnants of the Runecarver's work have long augmented the jailer's armaments, but now you can seize them for yourself and turn the tables on him. Shards exude 3 different types of runic magic: Blood, Frost, and Unholy, because of course the Death Knight thematic continues. These ghastly gems can be socketed into gear with Domination sockets, enhancing your character's damage, mitigation, or healing ability. So I'm assuming that Blood is mitigation, Frost is healing, and Unholy is damage or something. Or maybe it's the other way around. While each individual shard's power works anywhere, inserting 3 of the same type into your gear creates a rune word, granting you a powerful boom that increases your combat potency even further within the Maw, Torghast, and the Sanctum of Domination. So you can't use the rune word inside of a Mythic Plus, it looks like, which is kind of sad. I guess this is the raid only thing. Each armor type has 5 different armor pieces that can don a domination socket, which can be looted from the raid. Defeating raid bosses also rewards you with Stygian Embers, which are used to upgrade your shards and further enhance their potent bonuses. While in PvP combat, the effectiveness of each individual shard's power is reduced by 50%, so PvP players, you don't have to worry, they got you this time. Players who are not satisfied with the selection of gear that the Great Vault has provided them with the week can now opt to receive a token that will let them choose from a number of alternate rewards, including Anima, Stygia, and Soul Ash. If you decide to go down this path, seek out Kotol next to the Great Vault to choose your reward. Nobody's going to use Stygia because Stygia is basically dead unless you haven't gotten all the power-ups. I guess Soul Ash for the first month wouldn't be bad after you get all your slots maxed out, just so that way you can keep making legendaries. As for Anima, maybe, if you're looking to complete everything. Looking on the Great Vault icon in the world map now opens up the Great Vault panel. Selecting the token reward in the Great Vault will now display a countdown confirmation. You can't accidentally click on it and then hit accept and accidentally lock yourself to a token. At least a little bit of a warning. Each shoulder can now be transmogrified separately. Legion artifacts are now supported in transmogged outfits. The Imperial Ordnance trinket now puts other unused trinkets on a 40-second cooldown when used, was 20, so it's a nerf to the trinket. Gladiator's emblem on use health reduced by 30%. Cardboard Assassin Cataclysm Engineering Trinket now shares a cooldown with potions, and its stats no longer scale past 35. Some shields have returned to their original sizes. What a great tooltip, by the way. Some shields. I wouldn't doubt that if it's actually written that way inside of the Blizzard patch notes. The tournament favor toy is no longer usable in PvP instances. Fix an issue that allows some engineering bombs to not break stealth when damaging players. Pet battles, they remove the cap on the pets that can be owned. Okay, we're not going to cover PvP here. We're going to cover professions instead. Recipes. New optional regrant. Crafter's Mark Set 3 or Mark 3 sets the crafted equipment to item level 200. New optional regrant. A reagent, sorry. Crafter's Mark of the Chained Isle. That's the crafted equipment level to 230. Only one piece of equipment crafted with the crafter's mark of the chain isle can be worn at a time. So I think this is what you're going to use to upgrade your legendary. Alchemy, Blossom Burst, Glory Burst, Marrow Burst, Torch Burst, Widow Burst, Coloration Powders, Transmute Stones to Ore. Cooking, Bone Meal Bread, Porous Rock Candy, Twilight Tea. I guess there's no new feast. Enchanting Formula, animated leash. I'm guessing this is some type of mount, maybe. Inscripting, new Vantis rune technique, Sanctum of Domination. Jewel crafting, porous stone statue, shaded stone statue. Leather working, elusive pet treat, pallid bone flute, pallid oracle bones. Tailoring, shrouded hand towel. Kiatikte, the Cataclysm time walking vendor, now sells the following classic recipes. Okay, not really worried about those. Nothing for blacksmithing? Wait, what? I guess all we get is the crafter's mark. I think every other profession's here, right? For the most part, outside of obviously mining and herbalism. But every crafting one's here, except blacksmithing. Okay. Rune carving vessel recipes can now be upgraded to higher levels via a new optional reagent slot, and optional reagents that can be accessed by uncovering the secrets of Korthia. Players can use these more powerful rune carving vessels to upgrade their existing legendary gear or to create new ones. Okay. So I guess you have to just go find the upgrade recipes and then you'll get something that lets you upgrade the slot or something. I don't know. Okay. A new legendary currency, Soul Cinders, is now available from completing Torghast layers 9 through 12, the Tormentors of Torghast event, and from Assaults. It can also be used to upgrade legendaries to higher item levels using the new rune carving vessels. New rune carving powers that empower each class's covenant ability have been added. Some existing rune carving powers have been updated. See the classes section for details. Added an additional rune vessel armor slot as an option for several rune carving powers. I'm going to have to see how all this plays out, honestly. It's very confusing in how it sounds. Newly created helm, neck, bracers, belt, and rune carving armor pieces will now always be created with a socket. So if you were going to do this before 9.1, I would wait and then craft them. The Maw. Permanently remove the Eye of the Jailer effect by completing the quest Focusing the Eye. Unlock riding ground mounts in the Maw and Korthia by completing the introduction storyline to Korthia. Discover new rares and treasures in Desmonteran. But I already have the Maw mount. Wait, if I can't mount the Maw after this patch goes live and I have to do this quest line, I'm going to be a little upset. Anyway, it'll be nice to not have the eye anymore and I can just go around and farm ore as much as I want. Torghast, Tower of the Damned. The total number of floors per run is now 5. It was 6 to make it quicker. The Terragaroon will now be terrorizing players in the Sanctum of Domination. As such, there is no longer a death counter barrier for continuing your run. Nice. So there's no long. It's only the run goes as long as you're willing to die. Bosses no longer regenerate health after they've. Wow, they are really making Torghast simple. So they've literally changed it from having to be careful, not dying, and fighting, being careful to just throw yourself at him. Just continue to throw yourself at him. Eventually the boss will die. If you have the gold to repair your armor, You win. Anyway, new scoring system and perks. You are now scored based on performance after successfully completing a run. At the end of your run, your score will be ranked and you'll be rewarded with Tower Knowledge, which can be spent at the box of many things to acquire permanent perks and grow stronger, which will allow you to combat the enemies in Torghast even quicker. Save souls and defeat the jailer's forces to become anima empowered, allowing you to more effectively crush your foes through a variety of combat and score bonuses. So basically, they have just completely made Stygia useless. So what I initially thought they were going to do is they would keep Stygia alive so that you could trade it to get more bonuses in Torghast. But it looks like they've even replaced that system with a new system. Okay. New layers. 4 new and more challenging layers have been introduced. Layers 9 through 12. Layers are now unlocked by reaching a specific rating in the previous layer's run. New bonus force. So you can't carry people, essentially, is what they're trying to prevent. Is what it sounds like, anyway. New bonus floor, Adamant Vaults. Brave adventurers who make their way through levels or layers 9 through 12 efficiently will now be given the option to enter the Adamant Vaults. A new set of floors in Torghast. They will be challenged against the new creatures and traps that lie within it for a chance at even greater rewards. Torments. Starting at layer 4, torments are applied to increase the challenge of the run. Torments are displayed on the HUD and provide an additional challenge to overcome. Torments are selected per wing per day. The existing torments are no longer applied. I'm guessing that it's basically a randomizer now. Blessings. Through Tower Knowledge, you can unlock blessings that will provide bonuses to your run. Like Torments, blessings are selected per wing per day. Soul Ash. The amount of Soul Ash that is rewarded for completing the first run of the week for any given Torghast wing and layer has been increased. Repeat runs of previously completed Torghast and wings and layers will now award partial Ash, so now you can still get Soul Ash. If you want to spend the time to get that legendary, you no longer have to wait once a week. Players that have unlocked Layer 9 of Torghast will now be able to transfer Soul Ash at a slight loss to another character on their account by seeking out Bonesmith Hymir in Korthia. That is actually really nice. So let's say you're sitting on a crap ton of Soul Ash from 9.0.5, you can now transfer it over to another character and they're not resetting us. Yay! These are just interface issues while companion app. That looks like it's gonna do it, guys. Honestly, I think that this patch is going to be nice. I think it's going to add a breath of fresh air to the game for sure. I'm hoping a lot of people come back. I'm hoping our group has a lot of raiders so we can go straight into the raid on the 6th. But anyway, that's going to do it, guys, for this video. Sorry, I'm a little bit burned out. I've literally been doing these one after another. So while they may be 3 separate videos, they were recorded all within the same day. So I've been here for like 5 hours. Anyway, let me know what you guys think is the biggest thing that you're looking forward to in terms of dungeons, raids. Like, what are you guys most excited for? Just, I guess, in general for 9.1. It could be anything. Class changes, dungeon raids, new city, all that stuff. Let me know down below. I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for joining me on our journey through the 9.1 patch notes. I will see you for the next major patch note video for World of Warcraft. But until then, catch you on the next video. Later.